So we're looking at creating some special effects in After Effects that are going to be paired with Trackmattes, which will allow us to bed the effects that we create into a scene. So this is just using masks and an effect called advanced lighting to give the illusion that something is both outside the window that we're looking through and also behind some of the buildings off in the distance. So the basic idea is here we have a lightning strike way off in the distance on the left, we have one in the middle, and we have one just outside the window. Okay, and the mats themselves are just simple masks drawn onto our usual solids that are allowing us to mask off and only show the effect where we want it to be. So this is another example where drawing a mask onto the layer itself won't have any effect. Many effects such as lightning are generated kind of on the fly, so they don't obey a mask that might be actually applied to their own layer. So we have to work with Trackmattes, but that's common practice that you'll be doing for most things anyways, using a Trackmatte. And in this case, it's an alpha Trackmatte because it's a mask that we're using. So I'm going to go through the steps just to show you how to create. Maybe the one in the middle might be the hardest one to do. So we'll look at that and we'll look at how to create the lightning as well. So I'm going to create a new composition based on an image called Out Window, which I just grabbed off the internet. And you see it's slightly brighter because I had applied curves at the end. Okay, so what do? Well, we don't need to touch the actual window image. That's just going to sit there. We don't actually have to apply any masks or any effects or anything like that. So we can start creating our lightning using a solid, and we can call this lightning big. It's going to be in the foreground. It doesn't matter what color the solid is because it's going to disappear as soon as the lightning is applied to it. So the effect you're looking for is advanced lightning. You can just drag that out onto the solid and you'll see that you get a kind of a standard lightning fork comes down there. And the way that you control the effect is to try and get it to something like direction or two-way. I think two-way is the one we're actually looking for here. And two-way will give you two control points. You've got an origin and direction, but we are going to just go out here and click on the little circle that we can grab and move around, and we're just going to position it. And then we play around with the settings. Now the first thing you'll notice is that it has this kind of nasty kind of purple thing going on. We can get rid of that quite easily by going to the glow settings and changing it from having a glow to actually setting the glow to be black. Now once we've got a black glow surrounding our lightning, we can then change the blend mode to screen, and everything that is black will just kind of blend into the background, and everything that is brighter than the background, such as the lightning forks, will screen out as lighter. And we can just hit screen, and there we go. Okay, so that is just getting us, as I say, a starting point. The rest from here on in, you're going into the core settings, you're adjusting the radius, you're getting a nice thick kind of lightning strike. You can go down then to the let's see, now it's the expert settings, I think, where you can adjust the complexity. You can make it into many more kind of forks coming out of it, but just remember that when you do that you're adding onto your time that you're going to have to spend processing it and rendering it out. So I'm just going to leave it like this for the moment, and to make it move we need to change its conductivity state. So I'm going to keyframe that up here, and I'm just going to give it 4 seconds, and you can just push that along there, and it will then animate between those different states as it goes from 0 to 4 seconds. Okay, and put an A in there just so it doesn't try and render the whole timeline. Now the next step then is to matte it out. So we need to create another solid, and this solid is going to be called matte big strike. And again, we switch it off because we don't need it to be visible for us to do what we need to do. And we're going to mask off the window frame, and we can go back and modify these afterwards just to make sure it lines up nicely. Now, just even looking at the image, I can tell that this is going to need a feather, because if the mask isn't feathered, it's going to look very hard compared to the actual image itself. So I'll just hit F to bring up my masks and their feather properties. Select both masks and just put in, go for a 4 pixel blur and close that, and we'll just set that as our track matte for lightning big. And there we have it. So that's our foreground lightning outside the window. Now, from here on in, you can actually duplicate the lightning. You don't need to create a new one every time. So I'm just going to hit Control D, and I'm going to call this lightning mid. And zoom out a little bit, select lightning mid, select lightning effect, and I'll just drag its control points out there so that I can get it where I want it to be. And this one's going to be a little bit further away, so I want, you know, the core settings to have a thinner radius, make them a little skinnier, maybe give it slightly less complexity or something like that. But you can also go into where is it? The opacity. So the core opacity, and you can bring that down. You can do it there just to make it look like it's a little bit more in the distance. Okay, anyway, on to the matte, or the alpha matte. Go down solid, call this one matte mid, because it's midway back. Switch it off, and again, we're just drawing onto that solid layer around where we want the lightning to appear and disappear. It's actually kind of hard to see. I think I've drawn onto the buildings in the background there. Right, this is more where I want to be. And now we could do it two ways. I mean, we could do a subtract mask here, but I'm just going to go around the window and do an add. Now, that one has, yeah, so that one already, that automatically matted, because the duplicate of this already had the alpha track matte selected, so it automatically just took the track matte information from there. But I do want to feather that, just like the other one, to have 3 or 4 pixel blur. Okay, and that's giving us a nice effect there in the midground. So you're just basically doing the same thing then for the last one. You're duplicating lightning mid, you're bringing it over to the left, and you're creating a new track matte, and then you'll end up with that. Okay, so that's the effect that you'll get when you have all three, creating a nice little kind of fantasy alien invasion or lightning strike or whatever you want to call it.